Good day everyone, my name is Marvin Del Mundo and I'll be discussing the characterization of potential copper and gold mineralization using electrical resistivity and induced polarization methods. A case study in Eastern Labo, Bicol, Philippines. Written by Mel Anthony A. Kasula and Hideki Mizunaga. So the parts of this study is the background of the study and the objectives. Second was the geological setting. Third was the electrical resistivity and induced polarization survey. Fourth was the result and discussion. And lastly, the conclusions. For the background of the study, porphyry epithermal copper-gold deposits are common in the Philippines and are typically associated with sulfide minerals such as chalcopyrite, pyrite, and bornite. Recent studies in Eastern Labo, Bicol indicate the presence of massive pyrite linked to gold and quartz, as well as high sulfidication of copper and gold mineralization. So the exploration in Mount Labo is hindered by poor bedrock exposure due to the thick pyroclastic deposits and dense vegetation, resulting in limited surface access. Electrical resistivity and induced polarization, or ERIP, geophysical methods are effective detecting sulfide-rich mineralization beneath thick overburden because sulfide minerals exhibit distinct electrical properties compared to the host rocks. So the objective of the study is applies the cost-effective and time-efficient ERIP techniques to analyze subsurfaces geophysical anomalies in Eastern Labo, aiming in identifying the potential zones for copper and gold exploration despite challenging surface conditions. Now we will tackle to the geological setting. So the location was in the Paracale, Panganiban Mining District. It was under the ancient Southeastern Luzon Arc stratigraphic grouping, specifically within the Quezon Camarines Norte block. These are bounded by the West Dipping Philippine Trench and the left lateral strike slip Philippine Fault to the east and west. And now we will tackle to the electrical resistivity and induced polarization survey. So the materials or the equipment used was the Iris Siscal Pro Switch 72 with automatic 10-channel switch, a dipole-dipole array with an equal electrode spacing of 10 meter and a total length of 710 meter was used for electrical resistivity tomography study. The injection time was set to 2000 meter seconds, and the number of stacks for each measurement was limited to 4 and 8, respectively. ENE to ESE, or east-northeast to east-southeast lineaments that were delineated using hillshade analysis. The lineaments may indicate regional geologic structures related to potential mineralization of the area. The continuity of the subsurface geoelectric layers interpreted from profiles A to A' to J'. Now we will go to the results and discussions. In the fourth figure, or we have the first figure here, showing the profiles from A to A' to E to E'. It was located in the northeastern part of the study area. This show the clear anomalies in zones C and E at 30 to 100 meter depth. The chargeability was high aligns with modern resistivity, indicating disseminated sulfide oxide mineralization. In the next image, we have the profiles F to F' to J'. These were the central profiles. The profile F and G shows the shallow zones E anomalies, likely oxide zones. Profile H contains well-defined zone C anomaly, at least at 90 meter deep. The next image is from the profile K to K prime to N prime. This was the west central profiles oriented at east-west, used for cross-validation of the previous profiles. The profile L to L intersects high chargeability zone D to 120 meter depth and adjacent zone C. Next was the profile O to O prime and P to P prime. This is the calibration area where these profiles are tied to borehole data, making them critical for validation. The borehole logs shows the magnetite skarn at zone C having high chargeability and moderate resistivity. The oxide zone at zone E having low resistivity and high chargeability. This confirms the geophysical interpretation match actual mineralization rock types. We have the table 2 showing the range of electrical resistivity and chargeability values were utilized to characterize the underlying lithology, having the range of low, moderate, and high. Low having the resistivity at least 15 ohms meter and chargeability of less than 15. Moderate having the resistivity of 15 to 100 and chargeability of 15 to 25. High having a resistivity of greater than 100 and chargeability of greater than 25. And the table 4 shows the deduced lithologic units representing the zones identified on the combination of the generalized resistivity and chargeability ranges. From zone A to H, from zone A having a resistivity of moderate to high, this most likely the shallower depth, having the chargeability of low, is located at Lapo Volcanic Complex, overburden, tuff and other pyroclastic, interlayered andesite, andesite, and minor basalt flows, ranging from 30 to 50 meter thickness. From zone B, having resistivity of low, shallower depth, having a chargeability of low, is the clayey layers within the Lapo Volcanic Complex. From zone C, having a resistivity of moderate and high chargeability, is located at Tumbaga Formation, having a low clastic member of some such as sandstone and upper calcareous members such as limestones, high concentration of disseminated sulfide minerals such as pyrite and chalcopyrite. In zone D, having a high resistivity and high chargeability, is from the Tumbaga Formation, having highly silicified rock with disseminated sulfide minerals such as pyrite and chalcopyrite. In zone E, having a low resistivity and moderate to high chargeability were the oxide zone, where the concentrated sulfide minerals along with clayey, weathered fractured portions, weathered ferruginous clay such as native copper mineralization. At zone F, having a low resistivity and low chargeability, also located at the oxide zone, hematite-rich zone, which is a replacement of magnetite by hematite. From zone G, having a high resistivity and low chargeability, is located at the Tamisan diorite, where quartz diorite may represent other plutonic rocks. In zone H, we have a moderate to high resistivity and low chargeability, also located at Tumbaga Formation, having a lower clastic member such as sandstone and upper calcareous members such as limestone. Very low to none concentration of disseminated sulfide minerals. Here in Table 5, we have the estimated distances and depths of potential zones of mineralization from profile A to A prime. In Zone C, we have the distance from the starting point to the profile to the center of the zone, having 270 meters, and the depth to the surface of the zone in 100 meters. We have, and also in this profile A to A prime, in Zone D, the distance was 440 meters and 60 meter depth. In the profile B to B prime at Zone C, having the distance of 380 meters and the depth of 60 meters. At Zone C to C prime, at profile C to C prime at Zone Z, having the distance of 430 meters and 50 meter depth. In profile D to D prime in Zone C, having the distance of 510 meters and 60 meter deep. At profile E to E prime at Zone C, we having an 190 meter distance and 80 meter deep. And C, also at Zone C, having a 580 distance and 70 meters deep. At profile F to F prime at Zone E, the distance having 210 meters and depth of 20 meters. At profile G to G prime, also at Zone E, having the distance of 135 meter and depth of 30 meter. At profile K to K prime, we have Zone C, having the distance of 160 meters and depth of 40 meters. Also at Zone C, having a 510 meter distance and 30 meter depth. At profile L to L prime from Zone C, having a 240 meter distance and 80 meter depth. At Zone D, having a 290 meter distance and 120 meter depth. Lastly, at profile L to L prime was the Zone E, having a 430 meter distance and 60 meter depth. At profile O to O prime, having at Zone C, having the distance of 90 meter and depth of 40 meter. At Zone F, having had a 360 meter distance and 40 meter depth. Lastly, at Zone E, having a 490 meter distance and 30 meter depth. Last profile was the P to P prime, having in the Zone E, having a 250 meter distance and a depth of 40 meters. Also at Zone E, having a 350 meter distance and a depth of 100 meters. In conclusion, the resistivity and chargeability. In conclusion, the resistivity and chargeability of the data revealed in 8 subsurface zones. Zone C to F, potentially mineralized with high chargeability and variable resistivity. Zones A and B was overburdened or non-mineralized pyroclastic deposits. At Zone G and H, having the non-mineralized underlying bedrock. Borehole data from the calibration area validated the interpretation of the subsurface lithology and anomalies. The ERIP survey proved that to be a cost-effective and efficient tool for subsurface exploration in covered terrains. And the figure 8 shows the 3D perspective view of 14 profiles visualizing spatial patterns of resistivity and chargeability. High chargeability and low resistivity zones, especially at Zone C, were concentrated in the northwestern part of the study area. These areas were recommended for further investigation, such as drilling and detailed geophysical survey. This approach demonstrated can be applied to the other concealed mineral distinct to the similar overburden conditions. That would be all, and thank you.